Welcome to our first product town hall. This is going to go over collateral bases. You can see it up there. It's not very good. Prefer this one, to be honest. Our offerings for Q1 2022. Yesterday I had a great call with one of my partners, and I wasn't sure if I'd have to do another one of these in a few minutes or a few quarters, because we just updated all of our software offerings, and we're going to go over all of the new things that we have to help cannabis entrepreneurs get their applications and affairs in order so that they can operate and apply correctly in their particular jurisdictions. My name's Tom Howard. You can find me on Instagram at Cannabis Industry Lawyer, and you can also find me on my website. We're going to be going over it here at great length, cannabisindustrylawyer.com. At the end, we will have your questions, but this is about what we are doing over at cannabisindustrylawyer.com, my law firm and law and consulting. That's called collateral base. One of the reasons why is we tailor to the emerging agriculture industry, which is just code to mean weed. And when you cater to that industry, you don't want your company name to be like Weed Law. Nah, I didn't want that. So collateral base. I was a bank lawyer for many years. Again, it's what I did. I litigated and I took apart fairly complex problems that banks would have with their commercial loans. And I might have to do these types of things soon. I'm probably going to get back into court in 2022. So what's new over at cannabisindustrylawyer.com? A lot of stuff. And one of the things that's actually on right now. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get into the presentation that I have for you today. Okay, this is cannabisindustrylawyer.com. It's our flagship website. Thousands of people come here each month and hundreds fill that out. That is our type form to see if you're qualified for your state. You can also click this button and it will try to make a phone call. Works much better on the actual mobile. About 70% of our traffic's mobile, about 30% is desktop. Many people hit it and then they get in touch with us. Our email list is growing at about 350 per month. And so this cannabis knowledge area, you click into there and you are transported to our cannabis knowledge center. And that is knowledge.cannabisindustrylawyer.com. This is our online store and landing page area to not impact the SEO of cannabisindustrylawyer.com, which is right here. This is just an SEO magnet. Many people search for terms and it comes right up. So one of the things that we have here, business entity types, cannabis legality map. Oh, that is a feature, not a bug. That is what happens when you load it. And so our cannabis legality map continuing to grow and all of our content is in on here. So many people come to the site to research their particular jurisdictions laws so that they can get their cannabis license in order. It's one of the things we love to do over at cannabisindustrylawyer.com. And so that has been done and it's up and we continue to update it. But what's new? What's new is the Knowledge Center, and that Knowledge Center's main flagship product is this Mastermind. And now we have 3 pricing levels that we're unveiling for Q1 2022. And when you go to those, there's your basic, your enterprise, and your deluxe. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what's the difference between these? This basic plan is what you would get if we can qualify you as social equity. And then there's the enterprise plan. That's the one that will include the application ready business plan, because there's a difference in states. And so some states are more check the box regulations. These are states like Oklahoma, Arizona, Ohio, Oregon, Maine, Maine before. And so then there's a different type of application that you have to do in jurisdictions like Missouri, Illinois, New Jersey, New York, Florida. Those have been called the complete application. And so that means that you must demonstrate your compliance with all the regulations through the application in and of itself. The application is not just some mere form that you fill out like in the check the box states that I went over previously. Instead, that application is a condition of your license. That application is a contract that you have with the state who is awarding that license, and you must do everything that says. It's one of the reasons why the applications can be so long. So we're going to talk about New Jersey. That application is 125 pages by its definitions. There's 40 pages for the conditional, and there's 85 pages for the transitional application or the transformational application. But that doesn't include your operating agreements, your corporate documentations and contracts, nor does it include your resumes. That's somewhere else, but you need them. Nor does it include your SOPs for your actual business operations. However, it does include all the regulatory requirements necessary to say that you are operating in compliance with the laws. Many of the competitive or merit-based states are modeled off of requests for RFPs, requests for proposals for like government grants very often. And those grants, they're scored, they're competitive. You have to write in such a way that the person who's reading it goes, that's what we're looking for. And that is what the Mastermind is. It explains to you all of these things about how to get your application in order. And the enterprise plan, we start with this. We start with a business plan. And so like in our Illinois version, if you would get the vertical being dispensary, that business plan is only like 35 pages. If you were going to get the conditional New Jersey, that's 40 pages of stuff. Now, of course, your team is not a generic team, but a complete application is a complete application. It's going to hit all of the bases that are imposed by regulations. That's what we are explaining, and then we deliver to you in the enterprise plan. It also comes with my time. That's right. It's a 12-month term, and that's our monthly price. In the first month, after you've purchased the first month through this website, you are then contacted by us, and we actually add you to this really cool area where the Mastermind exists that we just got done building yesterday, and it's software. So this is iterative. You have a 12-month license. The value of your license will be substantially higher in month 12 right before it expires. It's a 1-year term. By that time, you're already going to have your deliverables, your downloadables, the thing that you need to apply. And then you're going to have a lot of knowledge for how to write the remainder of the application, or you'd be able to have us help you with the remainder of the application. All of these will be added into our store over the coming months. And that's not all. The stuff that I was doing with some of my partners yesterday, that's going to give us maybe Q2, but definitely Q3 of this year. There will be more updates, and they're pretty stellar updates. But the enterprise plan has one consulting session with me per month, and then it also has access to more content, basically the basic pitch deck and the basic financial model. Our financial models are fairly complex. We dial it back for a particular application because you don't need to show everything, and that is the enterprise plan. If you want a 20% discount, we contact you in that first month and go, would you like our annual pricing or to continue on your monthly pricing? And that's your preference. So if you just want to pay per month, great. If you want to pay it all in one lump sum, 20% off, as you see, it says right there. I'll kind of explain that. We also have some investor contract templates that we go over because one of the courses that we will have in there in the Mastermind has to deal with corporate organization, formation, operations, fiduciary duties. And then there's a whole other section that has to do with capitalizing your business. And then there's a whole other section for build outs. There's a whole other section for a whole lot of things. That's why we are coming at them in what we call our workshops. So this is kind of like our last webinar that we're going to be doing gratis. After that, we'd have workshops. And our first workshop that we're going to do is going to be all about social equity. Because the social equity aspect of these teams very often is misunderstood. And not only that, we want to work with social equity applicants, especially in these type of complete application, merit-based, highly competitive, limited market areas, simply because those are the only ones that are going to win. So like in New Jersey, I really only want to be working with priority one. Why? Because if you're not priority one, you might be waiting in line for 4 years. And I'd rather my clients win. Duh. Okay, so that's what those, and I guess they're the third level. If you're super fancy and you want 2 sessions with me a month and you want our complete financial models, just the spreadsheet, we go over it in the Mastermind, but it is complicated and it has It's a mathematical model in Excel. And so you have assumptions, and then those assumptions get spit out somewhere. The simpler version, the one that you would actually tender in your business plan to the state regarding how you are going to do and document your expenses, you don't need the whole thing. You need the whole thing to get that expenses, but then you can cut it. And here you go. That's why it's just a 3-page basic financial model that we use in the enterprise plan. And of course, we would also then help with a custom pitch deck in the deluxe model. What else? How much of customizations do you get? 5 hours for the enterprise and 10 hours for the deluxe. And what does customization mean? Well, there is a complete application, but it's not your team's application, is it? Mostly that's your management profile. That is the thing that really changes depending on who you're looking at. It's not whether or not your application is compliant in like 125 pages, or in Illinois' case, like 700. And I just saw a Rhode Island one yesterday for a medical, about 500 pages, which, again, you guys want this license in those jurisdictions because it's a sure thing, because it's going to be cash flow and you don't really have to compete like you do in Oregon, or like you do in Oklahoma, and increasingly in Michigan, or the entire West Coast, Colorado. And you want it to be a sure thing. You want it to be Florida. Or we yesterday on the show, and don't forget to smash some likes and click subscribe and check out cannabis legalization news, by the way. But we were doing a story about South Carolina. And what does South Carolina say? South Carolina says there's only going to be 15 licenses, and they're vertically integrated. So you get your own dispensaries and your own other stuff. Yeah, great. But I digress. Those are the 3 basic models that we have for the Mastermind. And our pricing is monthly unless you want it all in one lump sum. Now, if you're in like an Oregon or an Oklahoma or a Michigan or a West Coast, I'm going to push you towards like the basic one, the 250, because you don't need to submit a business plan really to a regulator. You could probably find that business plan on LegalZoom, or that business plan on just Google business plan. I'm sure there's businessplan.com. If there's not, I don't know where I'm living anymore. I thought this was the internet in 2022. So you can grab one of those and get away with it, but you can't do that in states like Illinois. You can't do that in states like New Jersey, or in states where you need a complete application, because that application will say precisely what is supposed to be in that business plan. And that's one of the reasons why in the enterprise and also the deluxe models, the final deliverable may extend beyond your 12-month term. So after like 12 months is up, but I still don't have the application to be like, okay, I'll be back in 48 hours. And then, go get exactly what they need, because then I've read the application. So it's 30 days after the application is released by your jurisdiction. For example, New York, I might push you into the basic just to get you learned up. You don't really need to talk to me too much. If you want to book in, then get the enterprise, but I'm not going to be able to deliver the final deliverable. You'd purchase it, but I wouldn't be able to deliver it until the application's released. And I can read it and I go like, oh, they want a business plan that is comprised of A, B, C, D, and then you go through from the materials we already have. We go over like the size of your market and how you can calculate that, and what types of, there is some math involved. There will be math, but it's projection math, which isn't really like math. It's models. So it could be garbage in, garbage out, but not really. I mean, you're being compliant. You're taking measures and you're applying that to populations, and you're making projections. That's really all they are. They're assumptions. And from those, we build out your business plan. And then after that, we build out your pitch deck, because very often people need capital. There are a lot of capital resources available to you over at CannabisIndustryLawyer.com. So there will be more, which is nice. The capital in this industry is quite crucial, and having relationships with people that have access to those is very common. So one of the reasons why in the Mastermind program we have a forum and also these workshops are for networking purposes. And that's also why we have our new social equity program that we've released. And we actually charge for our social equity program, which some people might be surprised by, but it's an administrative fee. You see, when you are a social equity applicant, and then we have all these another landing page for it. When you are a social equity applicant, and it's in our shop, I might just go to the shop. And then this is the other thing that we've released, our shop. So here's our social equity incubator program. It's $500, and I work with you as to what evidence do you need. Let's fill out that form. All right, and then I say you're certified, or explain why I don't think you're going to make it. You know, many times you need to comply. Well, all times you need to comply in these types of situations. However, it's very difficult, especially proving the residency requirement, the 5 years. You need to do it. So where are your tax returns? What do you mean you haven't filed your tax returns? You're never going to get a license. And so that's evidence. And what about other evidence? Where is your mortgage or your deed? Where is your lease? Where is your state ID? All of these things we go over, review, and then I help you assemble that exhibit. In Illinois, it was called Exhibit P, I believe. And they weren't that complex. I think $500 is a fair price for it. But then what that does is that gets you access to our basic version of the Mastermind gratis. You know, you get to go to the workshops. You get to go and you become first money in your company. And that is important. We discussed that. Like, one of the aspects of the social equity incubator is that we create a promissory note from your company to you, because you loaned it money and you're going to get that back. And I like that concept of ownership, because then you understand how to see your team a little bit better, knowing that you're the social equity, you're the talent, you get 50%, unless this is Connecticut, then you get more. And so, yeah, we have a lot of interesting social equity rules that we help you comply with. And then after but sometimes it's mashugana. And so, like, you won't be able to prove something, you know, like with a social equity applicant in New Jersey, it doesn't matter what jurisdiction you were arrested and convicted in, but it matters if you're convicted. So if they arrested you, prosecuted you, and not guilty, not enough. Doesn't that suck? You know, and so, but then those are the rules. And social equity is a legal term of art. We talk about legal terms of art all the time over at Free THC. That's where we also broadcast cannabis legalization news, not just on YouTube. Right now, we're only coming to you on YouTube because, well, I don't want to have the webinar up. And I also know that a lot of the viewers may want to see what we're doing over at, let me see if I can change the banner now. Here it goes. Collateral base. You see, when it's all black background, the white can kind of come out a little bit more, but it's just too small. So I'm going to have to talk to the coders and fix that. So that's the other thing. We have a lot of coders. That's one of the reasons why we built this. And after you purchase that, you would be taken to our new thing that I'm really excited to get into now. This is actually the Mastermind when you have purchased it. But we were just relevantly talking about the social equity incubator program. So I'm going to get you over to that first. And I call it actually social equity certification, because that's really what we're doing. You know, I'm working with you to ensure that you're going to be able to prove to your regulators that you are a social equity applicant. And then again, what do we say? There was going to be evidence. We need documents, tax returns, or arrest records, or conviction records, those types of things. Or if you've been expunged, a different type of record. We have to get those together. And so, you know, scanning, uploading PDFs, right? You can do that in here. This is great. You upload a file. And then here's the helpful links to all the social equity documents that many of the states have. So you get this, you come in here, I have to-dos for you. Go get this. They're uploaded. Okay, get on my calendar. Let's talk. And then it's repeat as needed. And then after you've repeated, you've unlocked 20% off. And that's how we handle that. It's a really cool piece of software called UpCoach. And we just found out about it like less than a month ago. And so we moved everything over into there, because now we can organize it in a way that is much easier to manage on a one-to-one basis. And not only that, on a team basis. Some people might ask, well, how many people can I give access to? And that this program here, which I'm going to add back into the stream, and I'm going to let it blow up. You can see this is our cannabis industry lawyer. This one's just the social equity. Let's get over to the Mastermind. And So here's the Cannabis Business Mastermind. This program's substantially larger. Like I said, here's our forum. So people can now start interacting with other people like them, matching social equity to capital, or matching social equity to somebody like a grower, for example, or an operator that doesn't have that particular aspect of the talent. Here's the meat and potatoes of the course. I mean, this used to just be on an LMS over in WordPress. We were building on LearnDash. Now it's here. And the functionality, in my opinion, is quite a bit better on UpCoach than it is on the LearnDash LMS plugin for WordPress. So we've migrated off that. And so then it also has your company's drive, right? Because we're going to be discussing documents. We might be building one day your whole application, but that would be off from the mastermind. I would then build a new location, because like the mastermind, like we're really drilling in on your business. Let's figure this out. Okay, now let's build the rest of the application. And so then when we build the rest of the application, we'll put it in its own UpCoach for you, because then we're really talking time, money, complexities of a 500-page application. The disclosures in New Jersey. Oh, the back and forth and the disclosures, they're just going to be killing it. But wouldn't it be nice if you had some type of central repository where your whole team could kind of go there? And that's where the difference comes in. You see, this is software, so you pay by the seat. That's another difference between our three versions of the software, is how many seats does it come with? And so the enterprise plan, that's 2 seats. Basic plan is 1 seat. Deluxe plan, that's 5 seats. So you would have, what's a seat? You know, you might be asking yourself, well, what's a seat? A seat is a chair that you put your butt into. But also it would be a member. And so I can add members to this by inviting people. There are several that have already purchased, but I have not yet granted access to the mastermind, which I will be rectifying this week as I start migrating people in. The other thing that we're doing now, through the usage of an API, an application programming interface, are linking between our WooCommerce store and our UpCoach area. So as you purchase, it'll be a very seamless process. So you're going to get certified for social equity. Very important. And so like the social equity mastermind, though, that basic version, we should have 2 seats because then that social equity person needs to find very often their capital or operational, which often very often has capital. But the gulf between the monies and the social equities, we're trying to bridge it. And and I really like how New Jersey is doing it with the fairness that they build into their financial source agreements. Shout out to financial source agreements, especially the ones that New Jersey has provided us guidance on. And shout out to the regulators asking how they're going to protect the social equity applicants, because, like, again, they were harmed by the war on drugs. And very often the arrest, I don't think it should be the conviction. I think it should be the arrest. Because, I saw this one real squirrely one where it's a federal arrest. All right. But then what happened? And it just leads to nothing. What do you mean your federal government could just like arrest you, throw you into a cage for a bit, let you go? That ain't social equity in New Jersey? Come on. But I guess, again, like the regulator doesn't care. It's going to be like, well, the law says X, Y, Z. You didn't prove that. End of story. Regulators are just doing their job, guys. And we're trying to do our part of it. By that, I mean writing a complete application that demonstrates your compliance, especially in jurisdictions like those we've just been discussing. Illinois, New York, probably New York. We haven't seen the regulations yet. New Jersey, Connecticut and New Jersey are approaching it nice. I like how they're doing it. It's a conditional period where it's smaller on the front end. Until then, you've been vested with a license, or at least a conditional license. And then you have time in which to get the rest. Because once you have that conditional license, you might be able to have certain promissory notes that would be needed to start funding these things all triggered. We're going to go over a lot of this in our workshops for like how to fund your social equity business. We haven't talked about our workshops yet. And by we, I mean me. I could really use a nice cool drink of water. And for that, I'm going to say, hey, man, it's got to be 20 past the hour somewhere. It is 20 past the hour somewhere, 5 minutes ago. But let's go over our workshop programs. Our workshops are going to be Social Equity Cannabis Workshop is the first one. And I think I'm going to spice this one up, to be honest, because like the Social Equity Cannabis Workshop, that's great. But how to fund your social equity cannabis business, that's magical. Anyway, here is the workshop. Let's blow it up in there. And it has like to-dos. It has these worksheets that we can give you. And then there is when it actually will start. It says it's right now, but this is, of course, in draft. And then I have a little welcome. You have these to-dos, attending social equity cannabis events or finding your social equity partner. I'm going to add more about networking to find investors. And then habits. Here's our forum where we can make discussions. A little worksheet for your social equity assignments and homework in there. You can click on that, and then you have things that you're supposed to be doing in the workshop. And then I'm going to be recording it. They will be on one of these forms, like a StreamYard. I'd be coming to you, but that wouldn't be to the general YouTube. It would just be an unlisted YouTube. And then we would install that as a course after the social equity workshop is done, or insert other workshop here because there's many different aspects for your cannabis license. And there it is. Yep. All right. So right now, this is the live workshop aspect. After the live workshop will be done, see, I can go to the editor because I'm the admin. I would take this live workshop thing and I would delete that, and I would replace it with the courses because you see, the workshop is going to be on this, and so it's recorded, and then it'll become a course, a video that you can then also watch, and it would just be an on-demand workshop. Those are how we're going to build out and have a very small entry, $99 for the social equity one, how to fund your team. But then like some of them are going to be, more expensive. Corporate strategy and organization for controlling your cannabis business, $500. How to adequately capitalize your cannabis business in 60 days, $500. Those types of things. But if you're inside the mastermind, they're gratis. They come with that particular license. And the license, of course, lasts 12 months, but you can keep your deliverables, your downloadables. Those are yours to use for the particular purpose that is defined in this statement of work that I'll make you sign. All right. What else is new so far that we haven't covered? I don't know. Other than that, I would get into like talking about our automations that we've built in our CRM and our law firm management systems. And those are you don't need to worry about those. Those have magic that works out back, I tell you. But let's do some questions, and then I'm going to wrap this up and get back to work. All right. So there's a whole bunch of people. And so, yeah, okay, great. Danielle's a member, and she's been, and when you do contact Collateral Base, Danielle will be the one who's actually following up with you probably first. But let's get to the question and answer section. I see. Some of this is just people watching that want us to discuss aspects for the, just like their general questions. Audio fine. Okay, Gary couldn't hear stuff. New Mexico cannabis business language. Yes, New Mexico is more of a check the box regulation type state where it's open and you apply, and it's fairly straightforward. After that, you're going to need some. That's in our hourly packages. That's the other thing that I guess I really didn't mention. Generally, if I can't help you in the organization of your team for your application purposes, then I would usually be like, that sounds like an hourly. because that's how lawyers operate. They're hourly, right? They sell their time. Lawyers are like plumbers, except we have no supplies, so we don't even get to sell that. We have to only sell our time, and some people just don't respect that enough, I think. Okay. Sussex County. All right, go get it. Get in line. In New Jersey, it's going to be like other states, similar to California, like where you have to get in line for the application. And then it also depends on the municipality. So New Jersey's got a long future ahead. Long future. All right, let's see in here. Plea bargains. Plea bargain, those would be hourly. That's negotiation to resolve litigation. Yeah. Anyone tracking the cannabis courts in Illinois today? Yes. Kenneth, yes, we are. And we are not, we have winners. And so I did not want to say I'm directly averse to this person who won. Let me go sue for you. And so I have not been in court in over 2 years now. I'm sure that will change soon. This industry is notorious for broken contracts. Okay. Any other questions? Looks like some Canadian questions there. It doesn't look like there's any questions. 35 people tuned in. I'm gonna wrap this up, but here you go. As someone who has capital but no social equity, which plan for the mastermind is recommended? You would want the middle plan, unless you want like a lot of hand holding and super custom, like awesome fancy work that is above and beyond what is required to get a passing score. However, like if you have capital and no social equity, go to the social equity workshop, because we'll talk about how to network with people in the industry. And then you have the capital. The rules kind of write themselves. And then you're just a fair, honest businessman trying to get a social equity applicant rich. Right. So yeah, that would be our enterprise plan. Good morning, CLN. I'm guessing nothing has changed with KY. You're right. We can't wait till we can start helping people in Kansas. Kansas and Kentucky. Lots of those K states are still in the past, aren't they? Yeah, you can see them. But in Mississippi, we're excited about helping with Mississippi. But then you know what's happening in Mississippi? The administration. And so you see that Alabama, we should actually change that one, though. The administration is going to probably stand in the way, and that really kind of stinks. Yes. And so like the social equity certification is $500. We go over your documents and your evidence, because some people are like, oh, I'm social equity. And I'm like, what qualifies you as that? And so I'm like, wouldn't it be great if there was like a program or a product that it's like, okay, let's get them qualified first, build that particular piece of the application and be like, okay, you've invested $500 in your company. Here's a promissory note that documents that. And then also you have put together a complete social equity package as required by your jurisdiction. Or I'd be like, I'm sorry, you don't qualify, but it's an administration fee. That's how we're doing it. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, so like they're trying to get more supply in New Mexico. New Mexico is a very fertile, provided you can qualify for the water rights and stuff. It's good. Good place to be doing business right now, because it's open, it borders Texas, and you can get a license there. But you will need lawyers to help you with how you're going to operate your business, because when the money starts coming in, that's when people really become litigation risks, because it's a cash flow, and you have to protect that cash flow. How? Contracts with guys like me with ascots. Yeah. Yes. The only thing that I have, the problem when you allow everybody in, there are asshats in business. They are just complete jerks. You can't trust them as far as you can throw them. With your bad back, Ed, you shouldn't be throwing anybody. And sometimes that's why, when we talk about how to get investors in business, that'll be a workshop in the future, and we'll really focus on kicking their tires so that you guys don't get into you don't get into a problem down the line when it's too late. But that's the only thing. Like, Michigan, anybody can get a license, even jerks, and then it gives the industry a worse name than it should. I'm thinking I'm going to wrap this up, guys. If you need anything, of course, you know where to go. Where is that? That's right. CannabisIndustryLawyer.com. You can Google cannabis lawyer. And if you put the word industry in there too, then we'll definitely come up. Cannabis lawyer should be coming up in more and more locations. We're in talks with dropping pins in states like New York, New Jersey, Florida, Las Vegas, which is not a state, and California. So hopefully by Q2's product town hall, and that's not really a product town hall. Google my business. Come on, not a product town hall. Okay. And then if you want to find us on Facebook, facebook.com/free THC. I really appreciate everybody who tuned in to the webinar. If you have any questions, get at me at Cannabis Industry Lawyer on Instagram, or go ahead and make sure. Let's see. It's a social equity workshop. Yes. Okay. So like if you get the social equity, certification program, and I can certify you, I'm like, great, you get the basic version of the Mastermind. The basic version of the Mastermind, like, you don't get to talk to me every month, all that type of stuff. You just get to go through the courses and then have access to the workshops. That's just kind of like, oh, you want some education and like some training up on all this stuff. Right over there. And so like, yeah, if you're in Michigan or in Oklahoma, it's valuable in the sense that when you go to those open areas of business and you don't focus on how you're going to execute, what your business model is, how you're going to make this stuff profitably when you're competing against everybody else. And think about that market selection. It's just, it's really difficult to be able to operate in one of those areas. And that's one of the reasons why those limited markets where you're doing like a request for proposal of a grant writing, but it's in the form of a license application writing for a privilege of having a cannabis license. They are sticky wickets. They are long and complex, and they're poorly understood by a lot of entrepreneurs that just want to get in. However, hemp entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that are in more open freewheeling states, they usually only consult a lawyer after they've made a big error, like 500 large or more, and they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't. But then, lawyers, why would you pay for them? They just talk to you and stuff and like waste your time, right? Anyway, so head on over to cannabisindustrylawyer.com. Subscribe to Cannabis Legalization News. Drop us stuff in the comments. Let us know what's going on. And thanks for tuning in. If there's any videos that you want us to do about the industry, questions that you have in it, let us know. We're going to be making those videos, and YouTube will probably be flagging this, because oops. But we shouldn't, because we're just trying to help people realize their dreams by using information and reaching out and providing stuff and information on the internet. That's what it's about. That's the stuff that YouTube likes, right? All right. Good night, everybody. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to hit one more 420 bumper, and then we're gone.